Welcome to my kitchen, and today we're going to be making pone bread. Now in my area that's what it's called. Different parts of the country, Appalachian areas, I'm in the South Mountains, we call it pone bread. Other areas they call it biscuit bread, they call it skillet bread. I mean, it's pretty much all the same. It's pretty much the same recipe. So it's a really easy recipe to put together. It's a really easy bread to make. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And so I've already mixed the dry ingredients. Pretty much what you need for the dry ingredients is just 2½ cups of self-rising flour and 1½ tablespoons of sugar. That's about what I use. And that's what I did, is just mix the dry ingredients. Now, as I said, it's also called skillet bread. And the reason being, for the most part, you always make it in a skillet. So you need like an 8-inch or a 9-inch cast iron skillet frying pan. And so I already pre-treated mine with some lard. So I preheated the oven to 425. And so I'm going to go ahead and put my skillet, my cast iron skillet, inside the oven to preheat it. So for the dry ingredients, I use 2½ cups of self-rising flour and about 1½ tablespoons of sugar. You can vary that according to your taste and what you're using it for. If you're going to use it as kind of a dessert biscuit, you may want to add a little bit more sugar, but if you're using it for a dinner biscuit or dinner bread, you may want to use a little bit less sugar. So I just put the dry ingredients together already here and mix them up. And then after you have the dry ingredients mixed, you want to add half a stick of butter and 1/4 cup of lard. And so what I do here, I normally just go ahead and I'll cut the butter up a little bit, so when it goes in, kind of like will mix a little bit better. And then I'm just going to put it in here. Now you can mix this up with a fork. What I use is a pastry cutter. I find it works a little bit easier. So what you want to do is kind of like with biscuits, you just kind of mix the dry ingredients in with the butter and lard. What you're looking for is kind of a crumbly texture. And like I said, you can do this with a fork also. I just find it works a lot better with a pastry cutter. So like I said, I've heard this called different things. I've always called it pone bread, but some people will call it biscuit bread, because pretty much the way you make this is pretty similar to the way you make a biscuit. And I've heard people even call it hoe cake, which I don't think this is a hoe cake, at least from what I understand a hoe cake being. But as you'll see here as I do this, it gets a little bit crumbly, because what your whole purpose is try to get the lard kind of mixed around with the dry ingredients before you put the wet ingredients in. So it's not going to be real crumbly, but it'll have some crumbliness to it. So I don't know if you can see that. As you do it, you'll start to see it gets kind of crumbly a little bit there. But you just want to try to get that lard and try to get that butter mixed as best you can. As I said, you can do this with a fork. I used to use this fork, but started using a pastry cutter here, and I found the pastry cutter works so much quicker. So pretty much I just go in here and I give it a little twist. And again, the whole purpose is just trying to get it mixed together. So I don't know if you can see that, but you can kind of tell that the dry ingredients are a little bit more crumbly, because I did put that half a stick of butter in and I put 1/4 cup of lard. So once that's done, we're going to add the wet ingredients. And the only wet ingredient is, I start usually with about a cup of buttermilk. So I'm going to pour that in here. Now, a lot of times I'll have to add a little bit more. We'll just see how it goes. You don't have to use buttermilk. Some people will use just regular milk. But I think it tastes a little bit better with buttermilk. So I'm going to just go ahead and mix this up. And you're going to kind of see it gets kind of doughy as you do it. And I can tell right now it's a little bit too dry. You can see the way it is right now. I'm going to add a little bit more buttermilk to it. But it doesn't hurt to add more buttermilk to it. You want to have a good texture to it. You don't want it to be runny like pancake mix or anything like that, but you do want it to kind of blend together a little bit better. You don't want it to have any dry parts. So again, I still see a little bit of dry in there, so I'm going to add a little bit more buttermilk to it. That's probably going to be enough. But whole purpose is you just kind of want to get it kind of doughy, but you definitely don't want anything to still be dry. But I usually start with about a cup of buttermilk and add it a little bit more until it's moist but pretty much nicely mixed. You don't want to have any dry spots. So I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of turning into, almost looks like a biscuit mix, but pretty much that's what it is. It's a giant biscuit. So this is the consistency that you want, and it's got a nice consistency to it. I'll show it to you right here. It's really sticky. I'll show you how sticky it is. I mean, if I take a pull of it here, you can see it's just holding on there, and that's perfect. So I always start with about a cup of buttermilk, but then I'll just keep adding it until I get to this kind of consistency. So what we're going to do now that it's ready, I'm going to go ahead and pull the skillet out of the oven that I've been preheating, and I'm going to just put this in here and we'll start baking it. So I'm over at the stove now. Let's pull out the skillet that we've been preheating. Kind of, if there's any lard, kind of just spread it around a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting the, so I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. Grab a fork, get the rest of that out. So, and just kind of push it in there and kind of spread it around. Doesn't have to look pretty, but you know, you want to kind of have it in there full. So that's pretty good. So you can see what it looks like there before you put it back in the oven. And I usually put it on the middle rack, and we're going to cook it maybe for about 20-25 minutes. So let's give it that time and we'll come back and check it. So as I said, normally it's 425 degrees for anywhere between 20-25 minutes. I'm right at the 23-minute mark, and I checked the pone bread. It's ready to go. So let me go ahead and pull it out of the oven. So I'm not sure how well you can see that. It looks absolutely delicious. So I'm going to let it cool for a bit, and then we're going to try it. So the pone bread has had time to cool down. It's still over in the cast iron skillet. I'm going to bring it over and I'm going to put it on a cooling rack. Now if you do this quick, it won't burn. So let's see if I can do this. There we go. Yeah, that's not too bad at all. You can see how easily it came out because we used lard and coated it. The pan's clean. And if you look at the pone bread, you'll notice the bottom, it's got a really good crispy texture to it because we use that lard. So we're going to let it cool here for a few moments, and then I'm going to cut a piece and we're going to taste it. So I got me some strawberry jam and I added it to the pone bread, and let's see how it tastes. That's really good. Now pone bread, is a great dessert. You can make the pone bread, and again, you can adjust the sugar in the recipe depending on how sweet you want it, but when you put some good homemade strawberry jam on there, it's an excellent dessert. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the recipe for how to make pone bread Appalachian style. This recipe's been around a long time. So if you did, please go ahead and like the video. If you want to see more videos like this about the South Mountain, about Appalachian cooking, and about just enjoying the beauty of nature here in the mountains, please subscribe to the channel. I'll be coming up with some more Appalachian style recipes here. I'll be sharing. Hopefully I can get out with my camera now that we're getting closer to the changes of the season. Take some more photography and some pictures, share that with you also. So thanks for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.